Today we're stepping into the past, one colorful frame at a time. These rare colorful photographs unlock forgotten moments, bringing history back to life in vivid detail. Each image tells a story waiting to be rediscovered. Welcome to Timeless Frames. Let's start. Amidst the shattered ruins of war-torn France, 4 soldiers stand firm, rifles poised, their faces hardened by the relentless battle of 1917. 2 Marines stand side by side, their uniforms covered in dust, gripping their rifles as they scan the battlefield for any sign of movement. 3 wounded soldiers rest on makeshift beds, their faces pale but eyes still holding on to the hope of returning home one day. A lone guard stands at a military theater's entrance, watching soldiers step inside for a rare moment of escape from the war. French soldiers peer through the fence on one side, battle-worn and weary. On the other, Swiss troops stand firm, untouched by the war just beyond the border. A pot bubbles over an open fire as soldiers huddle close, their laughter and stories briefly drowning out the distant sound of gunfire. Doctors, nurses, and wounded soldiers gather for a photo outside Hospital 66, their tired smiles a reminder of the battle they fight inside these walls. Swiss soldiers stand behind the border fence, watching the war unfold just steps away, their land untouched but their expressions heavy with unease. The convoy moves cautiously through the desert as mounted machine guns stand ready, guarding against unseen threats in the scorching heat. Chaplain Abbé Evan, dressed in military gear, offers prayers under his breath, finding faith even in the heart of war. Sar Amadou, a Senegalese soldier, stands tall in his uniform, a quiet warrior in a war fought far from his homeland. 4 Senegalese soldiers pose for the camera, their eyes filled with both pride and exhaustion, carrying the weight of a war not their own. A group of soldiers takes refuge in a makeshift shelter, their weary faces lit by a dim lantern as they wait for the next orders. A French soldier leans against the border fence, exchanging a quiet glance with a woman watching from her window, while Swiss troops stand nearby, observing. On the left, a newspaper vendor arranges the latest war reports on his stall as passers-by scan the headlines, searching for news of loved ones. And on the right, 3 young nurses stand proudly in front of City Hall, their crisp uniforms a sign of duty, their eyes carrying the weight of war. A row of ambulances stands ready, engines humming, as medics prepare for the next wave of wounded from the battlefield. 5 war-weary men pose together, officers and soldiers united, their uniforms stained with mud, their eyes reflecting untold stories of battle. A ghostly landscape of shattered trees and torn earth surrounds the French lines, where sandbagged shelters and dim storm lamps provide little comfort. Inside the surgical center, doctors and nurses work tirelessly, their hands stained with blood as they fight to save lives amid the chaos of war. On the left, a lone soldier peers through his scope at Lock Station 26, scanning the horizon for movement, his breath visible in the cold air. And on the right, an observer crouches behind sandbags in a frontline trench, jotting down enemy movements as explosions rumble in the distance. 3 soldiers sit with swollen, red-rimmed eyes, a grim reminder of the silent horrors of gas warfare captured in a medical photograph. Amid the roar of war, a soldier speaks into a field telephone, his voice carrying urgent orders, while sandbags shield the fragile connection. A grand float decorated with Nazi symbols parades through the streets, a chilling display of propaganda masked as a celebration. A massive German artillery cannon looms over the battlefield, its destructive power capable of leveling entire enemy fortifications. Hitler stands at his secluded Alpine retreat, Berghof, surveying the landscape as he plots the war that will consume the world. British troops of the 8th Army move through Klagenfurt, their presence marking the final days of Nazi control in Austria. Wooden Gaul stands as a grim symbol of Buchenwald's horrors, where countless lives ended in the shadow of tyranny. A gaunt, hollow-eyed survivor stands wrapped in tattered clothing, a living testament to the unspeakable cruelty endured behind barbed wire. An Italian and German soldier poses near the Parthenon, their presence a stark contrast to the ancient symbol of democracy they now occupy. Perched atop a Tiger II tank, German and Hungarian soldiers prepare for battle, their steel beast an unstoppable force on the battlefield. Rommel, the famed Desert Fox, peers through his binoculars, his sharp tactical mind shaping the brutal North African campaign. A grinning German soldier poses beside a defaced Lenin statue, a propaganda-fueled act of defiance against Soviet rule. A once thriving city lies in ruins, its skyline replaced by smoldering rubble, a haunting reminder of war's devastation. In perfect unison, Luftwaffe soldiers march with rigid precision, their disciplined steps reinforcing Nazi military propaganda. Amid the crumbling streets of Warsaw, resistance fighters battle fiercely, their city engulfed in fire and defiance. Once a world boxing champion, Max Schmeling now stands in military gear, trading gloves for grenades in the chaos of Crete. A young Joseph Ratzinger, the future Pope Benedict XVI, stands in uniform, a stark contrast to the spiritual path he would later follow. German soldiers speed through war-torn roads on their motorcycles, their movements swift and deadly in the chaos of battle. Gunfire echoes through the streets as German grenadiers clash with Soviet forces in brutal, close-quarters combat. A boy barely in his teens grips a rifle, his solemn face reflecting a generation forced into war's horrors. As chaos unfolds on the beaches of Dunkirk, soldiers scramble for survival, trapped between the sea and advancing enemy forces. Amid the hum of war machines, Luftwaffe operators work tirelessly, their precision fueling the Nazi war effort. A stranded pilot frantically signals for rescue, hoping his comrades spot him before enemy forces do. Flames consume the city as Polish fighters refuse to surrender, their rebellion illuminating the night sky. President Lincoln stands face-to-face with General McClellan, a moment of tense strategy after one of the Civil War's bloodiest battles. A hardened Sherman gazes ahead, his ruthless march to the sea, leaving destruction in its wake as the war nears its climax. A young soldier stands with quiet pride, his bravery in battle etched into history with the nation's highest military honor. Beside a sling cart, a weary soldier rests, war's toll reflected in his tired stance. Fresh from victory, Grant's determined expression reveals the weight of war and the burden of rebuilding a shattered nation. Seated among his top commanders, Ulysses S. Grant strategizes the next move, his leadership steering the Union toward victory. With defeat behind him, General Robert E. Lee's solemn face tells the story of a man and a cause that was lost, forever altering American history. Amidst the battlefield's chaos, an artist captures history in real time, his sketches preserving moments lost to time. Proud and disciplined, these volunteer soldiers stand ready, embodying the spirit of the Union's citizen army. A group of battle-hardened commanders gathers, their relentless tactics tightening the noose around the Confederacy. Blood-stained and exhausted, Union surgeons prepare for another wave of wounded, their work crucial yet grim. A young, carefree Custer lounges with his dog, years before his name would become legend at Little Bighorn. By the riverside, Union officers stand poised for battle, their eyes set on the long fight ahead. Nicknamed Fighting Joe, General Joseph Hooker's fierce gaze reflects both his aggressive tactics and his controversial leadership. One of the oldest Union generals, Edwin V. Sumner, stands firm with his staff, his long military career culminating in the fight for the Union. The legendary author Mark Twain, with his signature white suit, shares a moment of laughter with a friend, his wit as sharp as ever in 1903. A group of determined soldiers stands tall in 1862, their uniforms worn from battle, but their resolve unshaken in the fight for the Union. Two icons of entertainment, Walt Disney, alongside Charlie Chaplin, one shaping Hollywood's golden age, the other creating worlds of imagination, share a candid moment in 1939. With a gaze full of emotion, Lady Billie Holiday prepares to pour her soul into another blues-infused performance in 1947. Two wartime leaders, Winston Churchill with FDR, deep in discussion in 1943, shaping the future of a world at war. With war weighing heavy on his shoulders in 1863, Lincoln's solemn face reflects the burden of preserving a divided nation. A brilliant but forgotten visionary, Nikola Tesla's piercing eyes hint at a mind still years ahead of its time in 1937. Marching toward justice in 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. and his companions stood united, ready to change history with their words and actions. A young officer, Richard Davis, with an unwavering gaze in 1940, years before his leadership in World War II would make him a legend. Two musical titans, Johann Strauss II and Johannes Brahms, shares a moment in 1894, their compositions shaping the soundscape of an era. The inspiring woman Helen Keller proved in 1904 that silence and darkness could not stop a brilliant mind from illuminating the world. The revolutionary leader Pancho Villa sat in command in 1914, his intense stare reflecting the fire of a man who shaped Mexico's future. A reserved young royal future king, George VI, in 1922, unaware that he would one day lead Britain through its darkest hours. A striking contrast in 1862, Captain George A. Custer, bold and confident, standing beside a captured soldier whose fate remains uncertain. A breathtaking moment in 1922, as centuries-old secrets are unearthed, revealing the boy king's legacy to the world. The industrialist Henry Ford behind the automobile revolution, captured in 1942 during wartime as his factories helped fuel the Allied effort. The fearless conductor Harriet Tubman of the Underground Railroad, her quiet strength hid the courage that freed hundreds in 1868. A young yet battle-tested Union general, Francis C. Barlow, standing firm in the fight to preserve the nation in 1864. The Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, eyes cold and calculating in 1941, prepares for a brutal war that will reshape the world. If you enjoyed this journey through history, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Timeless Frames for more rare and colorful glimpses into the past. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.